Hello and welcome to this micro training video from FMCG Academy. Simply pause on the screen if you want to read through the cover slide. Today's topic is a basic product P&L, and we are on to understanding common scenarios that impact the P&L. And today's scenario, we are on to the numbers 2 scenario here today. I'd insist that you make sure you have seen the first two videos of this playlist of brand and product maths, because they will show you how the P&Ls were constructed and how the numbers have been calculated, etc. And it'll make sure you understand this video a lot better. So today's scenario is shelf and promotional pricing. So the retailer may demand a better, which is normally a lower, shelf and promotional price. So the retailer might say, look, the pricing you've submitted is not going to work. I need a lower shelf price to be. Normally the reason they give is more competitive in the marketplace, and that's the scenario we're going to try and explore. Let's try and run straight into Excel. So Excel, this was the original sheet in the basic FMCG product P&L, which has the description, all the metrics here and the numbers here, and I explained how this was working and coming up to a final P&L. What we're going to use is a shadow spreadsheet here, wherein I've replicated the P&L exactly out here on the right on column H, I, and J, which is sort of shaded cells. The numbers have been frozen here, and what we're going to do is try and capture the variance as we play around with different shelf pricing. So the numbers on HIJ won't change. The variance is going to be captured, absolute dollar amount will be captured in column K. So you'll see the difference between 2.8 versus 2.8, whatever the cells are or numbers are between F and I out here in absolute dollar amount. The percentage variance out here on column E, the green highlighted cells of these four will essentially capture absolute percentage variance of the dollars. So whatever's on F versus that as a percentage, while the red sort of highlighted cost structures of straight spend, product costs, etc., and advertising investment, that percentage is going to be an absolute variance in the percentage between. So you can see it's just trying to find whether within our P&L the cost structures have changed, or the percentage contribution of cost has changed or not, and that will change accordingly. So let's get into it. So the retailer is basically saying, I want a lower shelf price. Remember, we were at $5 and we were promoting at $3.99. Retailer is saying, well, I want this to be at $4.50 to be competitive in the market, and I want my shelf pricing to be at $3, promotional pricing to be at $3.79 versus earlier submitted $5 and $3.99. And you might say, yep, okay, let's explore that. Let's have a look just at what happens when you don't change anything else and simply change the shelf pricing. Gross sales remains the same, essentially because we haven't changed the units or the list or wholesale price yet. Discretionary trade spend essentially comes down, and that's because we are now discounting from $4.50 to $3.79 rather than $5 to $3.99. So we need to fund less, and therefore our discretionary trade spend structure is now 18% versus 22%. So we were giving 67 cents in support earlier. Now we just need to give 52 cents. And the net sales value goes up. So you can see it's negative $52,000 on trade spend, and that just cascades all the way down into your P&L to deliver 7.4% more dollars versus what was happening originally. But the question you got to ask yourself, is that reality? The retailer will normally come and say, look, I want to go to $4.50, but I still want my 23.8% margin. I'm not going to work at 15.4. So, and that is very, very standard in terms of a negotiation with retailers. So you might say, well, okay, let's see what we can do. You might be able to give them a bit more margin or try and get them to 23.8. So to get them to 23.8, there are two ways you can do it. One, you increase the discount structure. So I've already calculated these numbers before. At 19%, you go back to 23.8. Most organizations are not comfortable changing that. You might say, okay, I'll drop the list or wholesale price per carton. So you'll drop that by 10% to $36. And bang, we are back at 23.8%. So we're giving them 93 cents on the regular shelf price of $4.50, the margin, versus the $1.04. And in terms of promotion, what's happening is we're going to support them with another 47 cents. Discretionary trade spend is at 19% now of gross sales value. So that's a positive. We've reduced our discretionary trade spend level, but we're giving them a lot more. Getting them back to the percentage margin the retailer originally wanted. But then that absolutely changes the whole P&L. The gross sales dives by 10%, which is the number we bought 40 to 36 down to. So for 40's come down to 36, that was 10%. $280,000 goes away straight off the top line. You get back a bit in both your trade spend, so that combines to about $120,000 comes back, and then you lose $160,000 net on net sales, 8% down, and that cascades all the way down, and now you're sitting 22% below your original profit projections, which is not a scenario you want to be in. So you might go and play around and say, okay, look, we're bringing the shelf price down. This volume might, average unit sales per store per week might go to 11, not 111. That gives you some relief. Promotional pricing might help you by another, let's say 5%. You might sell more on promotion now that you're actually at a lower price, even though the discount percentage is a little lesser. You might say it might go to 21 or even 22 units per store per week. So yeah, you're getting a bit back. You're selling a lot more. You're going to sell 10% more units. Your retail sales value is going to be 1.5% more, so your market share is likely to be higher. But again, you're not there in terms of profitability. You've just gone down. So you might go back to the retailer, and this is always a negotiation. You might go back and say, look, I've given you $4.50, but you need to be a bit more flexible on 23.8. So let's have a discussion, so you might say, well, how about $38? Can you work at 19.6? And you might end up in a negotiation and end up at 37. And you might say, well, you have a higher gross sales, you're making a bit more in net sales, your profitability is marginally down, but overall you're not in very bad shape if this is the condition to get your products ranged with this retailer. So all I've done here is just given you a few scenarios in terms of what happens when you change the shelf and promotional price, and you need to play around with this to figure out what's the sweet spot with the retailer and work with them. I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you.